Hey, what's up everyone? This is Porter Robinson, and my interview with MTV Taiwan will be up on their YouTube channel soon, so check that out. Thank you guys. My name is Porter Robinson, and I'm 28 years old. I've been making music for 14 years now? No, 16 years now. Yeah, 16 years. Wait, there's no way. 12, 22, what? Yeah, so I just released a new album called Nurture. It took about 7 years from start to finish. And it's an album about sort of the beauty of reality and the value of life and recovering from difficult times and creativity and hope, all those things. And I think it's my best work. I think it's my favorite thing I've ever made. So yeah, please listen. So my favorite song on this album is called Musician because it's just like the most fun I've ever had in making music, I think. But I'm gonna put that aside for now. I'm gonna tell you about my second favorite song on the album because I've talked about Musician a lot. And it's the last song on the album called Trying to Feel Alive. And it was the last song that I wrote for the album, meaning it's last in the track list, but it was also the final one that I completed. And I remember feeling so much pressure and anxiety about not having a great last song for the album. So I was putting a ton of pressure on myself for this one. And you know, basically this album is about me recovering from an intense creative struggle and thinking I couldn't make music anymore, right? So here I am at the end of this album and I can't make the last song. And I'm sitting there thinking like, is everything on this album a lie? Like, have I even grown at all? Have I improved in my ability to overcome these blocks? And I had these lyrics that I just felt were like, okay, but they were a little too preachy. And I ultimately changed the lyrics at the end to basically say something like, the fact that I'm still struggling is essentially a gift because I wouldn't want to be satisfied. I wouldn't want to be done. I don't want to fix all my problems and feel just complete, because I think that this constant struggle is the thing that keeps me moving forward. And that song is called Trying to Feel Alive, and it's about how trying to feel alive itself is kind of a gift. And I like it so much because I was kind of scared to say all that, but I'm happy with how it came out. One thing for me about creativity is that I think it's just always kind of elusive, and there's not any one surefire method, I think, for generating it. There's always a little bit of randomness. But the thing that I would suggest people, if I had to pare it down to the absolute essentials of creativity, I would say trying something new is the first bit of advice I would give. Rather than falling back on your habits and the things that you know how to do well, try to do something that you don't know how to do well at all. Then I find when you're doing something that you know you're not good at, you're not judging what you're doing so much. So it ceases to be a reflection on you, and it's just more of this experiment and it's curiosity. So that always helps me. Well, not always, but it helps sometimes. I also really encourage people to try often and try new things like pretty much every time. Like, be willing to make a lot of work and throw a lot of it away until you find something that really grabs you and you can't get away from it. That's helped me a lot. Like, I produce a lot of ideas and I try to not feel precious about any of them and just let them be what they are until I get carried away, basically. And it's fun because you don't have to worry about it. If it's gonna carry you away, if it's gonna catch your interest so hard that you can't even help but follow it and see it through, you have no choice in the matter. And if it doesn't do that, then it doesn't do that. So I've tried to resign a little bit more to creativity and just let it happen. But that's not to say I don't struggle. I still have times where I'm really angsty about it. But I'm more at peace with the ebbs and flows now than I was before. I wouldn't necessarily say that the success of Worlds brought me severe depression. It was actually, it definitely put pressures on me. But I think it was actually my own habits led to me feeling the way I did. Like, my life was really out of balance. I was so focused on my career and my music and stuff like that I just didn't make room for normal things, everyday life. So something that really helped me with Nurture was like going out and like falling in love, going and taking a walk somewhere even if I thought it was a total waste of time, and watching a movie I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hate, and all these different things. You just never know where inspiration's gonna come from. The one place I think it doesn't come from is from pressure and anxiety and fear and burnout. You know, the other thing that I talk about is that like in 2016, which is 2 years after Worlds, right in the beginning and right when I was really struggling the most with Nurture, like my younger brother was in the hospital with cancer. I was in a bad state about that. And so there's aspects of real life too that extend way beyond anything as trivial as career stuff. And by the way, my younger brother is okay, in case you're wondering, and he's actually doing great. But you know, there's always, in the lives of artists or anyone in the public figure, they always have stuff going on in their world that let on publicly. So it's just worth remembering. But I did find my way out of it though, so I can definitely celebrate that. So creating this side project called Virtual Self was actually really instrumental for me in kind of overcoming this belief that I couldn't make music anymore. Starting under a new name took off a lot of the pressure, and I knew I had this little idea budding in my mind of making a project that was like an homage to the coolest sounds, to me, of the early 2000s in electronic music that I felt had been forgotten. Things that had gone out of fashion or weren't considered very cool anymore. I was like, these things are cool to me, and so I'm going to see if I can arrange them in a way that convinces other people of that too. And so Virtual Self was like really focused on this one particular kind of nostalgia and on bringing this aesthetic back into view, and it was meant to be mysterious, kind of otherworldly. But I think the biggest similarity between Virtual Self and everything else that I do is that I'm always trying to, like, I feel like I can almost see each project that I've done as this like little floating bubble with like a color inside of it that's like this world that you can dive into. Imagine like a world contained inside this little thing, and so I can see in my mind like worlds, and I can see Virtual Self, and I can see nurture. And it's really essential to me that each of those things feel distinct from one another, and like it's a place that you can go to. So there are people who like love Virtual Self and really hate Worlds, or people who love Nurture and really hated Virtual Self, or people who just feel indifferent to two of them and like one. And I always take that as a good thing, because I'm like, it means that they all feel distinct from one another. So maybe the thing that they have in common is that they're all trying to be their own world. So I often actually look back on the day that me and Marian and our team spent in Taiwan. It was a really, really fond memory. Walking around some downtown area, and I think we ended up eating some like grilled meats somewhere. It was amazing. I remember I was on a quest because like obviously bubble tea is Taiwanese. That's like made a huge impact around the world, right? I remember trying to find like the ultimate bubble tea place. Like I remember like going from place to place and be like, maybe this one is, and I'm so sad about this. I ended up like running out of time. So I haven't actually not had like bubble tea in Taiwan still. So, you know, that means, it just means I have to come back, but you know, please send me your recommendations of what's the very best place, something really special to try. So something that I feel kind of like sad about is that I feel like in the last few years, it's been harder for me with my schedule to like really get into a new anime, but one that really gripped me was this year's Wonder Egg Priority. I just loved that show. The soundtrack, which was done by DD Mouse, was just so creative, and it felt so young. Everything about that show felt like it couldn't have been made any earlier. Yeah, it's just extraordinarily creative and interesting, and it's just something very different. So I love Wonder Egg Priority. Yeah, I also really loved Weathering with You. I'm a big Shinkai fan, and Weathering with You was just an absolute blast. Like, it was one of the last movies I saw in the theater before the pandemic, and it was just like me and like my mom and my dad and Rika, my girlfriend, my brothers. It was right after my younger brother had just moved to Japan as well, and a big part of the story is about this boy moving to Tokyo. It was just so much fun. I loved that movie. That is hard. Recommend one song. Okay, maybe the song I would recommend to people who don't know anything about me, I would say Something Comforting. And the reason is, I feel like that song is a little bit of a bridge between the two albums, where Worlds was really focused on these like drops like you have in electronic music, with these instrumental big sections, and Nurture is more focused on like choruses being the big section. But Something Comforting is one of the only songs on Nurture that has more of an instrumental drop, but it feels like it's in the world of Nurture, and it has everything, I think. It has that bittersweet, melancholic feeling, but it feels joyful, and the lyrics have pain in them, but the sound is sweet, and yeah, Something Comforting, I think it kind of says it all. There are so many artists in Asia that I would want to work with, honestly. If you look at some of the playlists that I put together, there's so much music out of Asia that I'm listening to. You know, I had the chance to work with Masakatsu Takagi, who's one of my absolute heroes. I got to work with Komoai from Wednesday Campanella, and both of those are shown on Nurture. I'm a really big fan of the Japanese band BBHF. / Galileo Galilei. Some of the first J-pop that I really got into when I was getting back into like anime and things like that in around 2013, 2014. So I don't know, there's like literally dozens and dozens of artists who I'd want to work with. The first person I'll show a new idea to would probably be Rika, my girlfriend, and then my manager, Aaron. Those are my two probably most trusted people with new music, because both of them have like I feel like they have a heart that's like similar to mine. They can feel instinctively whether something's working or not and the potential it has. I would say a lot of like VR games. I spend a lot of time doing VR games. I take really long showers. Problem. Yeah, I think a lot of listening to music and a lot of playing video games and maybe 2 long showers. Yeah, my cat, Kaneko. The funny thing was, like, I was not even a cat person until I got my own cat. Like, I just didn't understand them. I thought that they were mean. I thought that they were cold. And I really didn't understand how to play with them either. Like with a dog, you just like take the toy and you just like put it in front of the dog and they're just like, oh, you know, which is adorable. And a cat, you have to like put the toy like behind something. It has to be very sneaky, and they're like, and I love that about them. I love that they like sneaky stuff, and you have to make it interesting for them. They're like people in that way. Like it can't be too obvious. So I've really learned to love cats since having my own. As soon as things are opened back up, I just want to tour as much as possible. I've missed playing to my fans a lot, and I've really missed the feeling of standing on stage and feeling like I'm living inside the songs. Like the main reason I love live music so much is because I feel like a song isn't fully real until I'm like bathing in it. Like I want to be immersed in it completely with visuals and lighting and the super loud sound. When there's a song I really love, I want to go there. I feel like it's a place. That's what I love about doing shows, is I feel like I can create this place where you can really be with the music, and I miss that feeling. So in September I'm going to start my US tour, and then I'm really eager to go international. Yeah, I want to say like thank you for the thoughtful questions, and I really enjoyed answering these ones in particular. And yeah, to my audience in Taiwan, I'm just truly dying to go back, and I reflect on the time that I spent there with Marion all the time. Yeah, I really want to see you again. Thank you.